Okay, here we are. All right. So, how do I look? Futuristic? Huh? I will admit it is pretty fun. One of the things that my wife pointed out is I kind of look like I've got some bags under my eyes after I take it off. So, that that may not be the best thing there. All right. Ah, okay. Let me just copy this link, put it out there. Okay. All right. Anybody not? All right. I've let everybody in who's in the waiting room. Welcome, everybody. I'm just going to put my headphones on so we don't hear any feedback. Now, this session today, I'm going to need a volunteer. So, preferably someone who's in a school will be ideal because we're going to create this uh, Principal Turbo with you. So, is there somebody who's dying to be a volunteer today and let me work on you and your school? Paloma, you're kind of high still on my list. So, what do you think? Nicholas, you were coming off
Actually,
mute.
leave in a little bit because with the time difference, school gets out in a little bit. So I'm gonna actually go to the hallway in a little bit.
Okay. All right. Well, then it looks like it's you, Nicholas. You ready?
Uh, we're about to find out.
Okay. That sounds good. Here we go. This is going to be fun. Now, this is one of those things that I have created and it may or may not work. It may totally fail. And if it does, like that's just part of working with AI right now. Sometimes things work out and sometimes they just don't. So, we're going to do the best we can with what we got. All right. So, the thing that I'm going to ask you to do, Nicholas, is uh if you will get ready to start putting stuff in the chat, that would be beneficial. So I'm going to ask you to bring some things over and do some stuff. I'm going to ask you for some information. So turn on my AI stuff here also in Zoom. So we'll see how that all goes today also. Hopefully if you're here you'll get a little invite afterward to learn about to see that stuff. Oops. All right. Share screen. Oh my gosh. I haven't been this nervous in a long time. Why am I nervous, you guys? This is crazy. Oh, here we go. All right, you ready? Okay. Um we're talking about Principal Turbo and what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste a link in the chat for you to follow along and do this yourself if you want. Or you can just watch and then you can get it later and that'll be fine as well. Okay. So here's Principal Turbo. I called it Get Principal Turbo because it's like GPT because that's what we're making as a GPT. Isn't that funny? It's good. All right. All right. Here we go. All right. So I'm going to share this link with you, and anyone with the link can access it. So I'm going to put this chat in here. And first, I'm going to go through what we're going to do. And I wrote all up in here. And I'll send this link out. Actually, I'll put this link in the chat right here, right now, before I forget. Okay. So here is this chat. Now, this may say that it is for paid subscribers. So if that is the case, if somebody clicks on that and it's paid, let me know and it is paid. Let me just fix that real quick. This will be behind a paywall later, but for you guys who are here, I'm going to change it to be not paid. All right. Confirm and move that update. Okay, now you should be able to to get in there. This is a new newsletter that I'm doing with Danny Bauer. Many of you may know him from Better Leaders, Better Schools. If you don't know him, you should. He's awesome. But go ahead and sign up for that because it's going to be some good stuff coming out here in a little bit. Okay, here we go. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go over this thing here. And there's 3 steps here. We're going to craft first our unique leader snapshot that's just for you. Then you're going to build an AI bot step by step. You do need ChatGPT Plus or Pro. So if you don't have that, that'll be an area where you'll have to come back and watch the recording later. And then step 3, we're going to put this assistant to work for us. So when you come back and look at this later, under here, under step 8, I'm going to post the recording of this video so that you can go through and re-watch this, because we're going to go through it quickly and you're going to be like, wait, I forgot that piece. But step A, create your leader snapshot with Principal Turbo. Step B, build your own AI bot that is based on you as a person, as the leader of your school. And then step C, come down here quite a ways, is putting it to work. And so I just put a bunch of prompts in here that you could use. There's like 40 something of them, 34 of them, excuse me. And you can take these prompts, and we're probably going to come up with some more about the ways that you do things in your school and what that will look like. You'll be able to take this and have it actually be applicable to your school. That's the amazing thing about this, is that we're going to build this with your information so that it knows you, and instead of just ChatGPT doing whatever it wants, it's going to be based on you yourself, which I think is going to be pretty cool. Okay. So everybody should have now this link that I'll put in the chat. Here we go. And so that should bring you to Get Principal Turbo. And so what we're going to do is build my leadership profile from scratch by asking me one question at a time. And Nicholas, this is where you come in. All right. So number 1, Nicholas, what's the name of your school?
Today I'm at Eisenhower Elementary.
Oh, you're one of those. You got multiple.
Yep.
Okay. Well, the good thing is you can make one of these for Eisenhower and one for a different school. So, because schools are different and unique. Okay. Now I'm going to do a cool little sneaky thing here. I'm going to come into, just lost my train of thought. And CES, Eisenhower, Vancouver, Washington. Now, this is kind of fun. 9201 Northwest 9th Avenue, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. That's not his home address, ladies and gentlemen. That is the school's address, just to be clear. Okay. Oh, it did not. There it is. So I like to, interesting. Why is this not working how it always works? I wonder. Okay. How about I just say, oops, that's not the right thing. Come on, technology. There we go. All right. I like to pull up the NCES data, and I'll just paste that in here. Oh, that's unfortunate. Let's try one more time. Okay. So it does say that web browsing is capable on here. This is one of those things. Sometimes it doesn't work how we want it to work. So we'll just copy address here. Whoops. Okay. And now it's going to continue asking us questions. So how many students are there, Nicholas?
About 450.
How many teachers?
Shoot, I should know that. Let's go with 25.
25. I'll take it. And what grades does it serve?
K-5.
Is it a Title I school?
No.
Okay. So I kind of skipped a couple steps by putting all that information in. It would ask you that otherwise, but I wanted to help us get moving a little bit quicker. All right. So what makes Eisenhower amazing and unique?
A veteran staff who are all in for what's best for kids. They work extremely well together and are open to trying new things if what they're currently doing isn't seeing the results they're looking for. We have a highly engaged parent community. Our kids are just wonderful. They're really fun to be around. We have a large number of staff children who go to the school. So our staff believe in it, and they believe in the other students that they're surrounding their own children with. Yeah, it's a
Okay.
good start.
That is a good start. Here we go. All right. Sounds like you've got a committed and collaborative staff, engaged parent community, and positive school and student environment, strong foundation. What's the long-term vision for the school, Nicholas? What would you like to see there?
Probably the same vision that all of us have for our schools is we do not have 100% of our students who are leaving at grade level in everywhere, and so that's what we continue to work towards. And right now we have a specific focus with our Hispanic and our ML, our multi-language learners or our English language learner populations, because we can continue to do better. Along with, we've just added a couple self-contained special ed classrooms, and so doing a better job of in our inclusionary practices. So I guess to sum that up, working towards that 100% vision while being inclusive and focusing on our increasing diversity.
Okay. So I phrase that as also recently added a couple self-contained special education classrooms, increase inclusion, improve outcomes for diverse students. Okay, that sounds good. How would you describe your leadership style, Nicholas? And it gives examples, transformational, servant, or something else. What do you think? And you can be honest.
So I'm the AP here, and I I would say that I try to be a results-oriented servant leader. So what do our teachers need? What do our kids need? And then how can I support them in that, while at the same time focusing on like the systems approach. So if we're getting the same issues over and over, I don't want to just, be that servant leader and help them with that problem. I want to figure out, why do we have that problem in the first place? And can we create a larger system to support it? So right now, my biggest work is around multi-tiered systems of support. How can that be essentially consistent across K-5, along with our response to behaviors, and particularly with escalated students? How can we be consistent with how we respond to them? Jethro, you're making me feel like I'm on an interview here. That you're just some heavy hitting questions.
I know, man. It's crazy, huh? Okay. All right. Well, this is all good. You're doing good. All right. Okay. So it says you got all that. What do you want Eisenhower Elementary to be known for in your community?
Ooh,
That was a good question.
that is a
AI.
good question. So to be real, I would love to know our parents' response to that question. But since they're not here, I would say two overarching themes. One, I hope that people think the students at Eisenhower are kind, even if they're not when they get here, that we can help support them in whatever they need to be kind, and that our students are learning, right? So they're continuing to improve in the classroom, as we push them, right, to be their best selves.
Yeah. And how interesting the order in which you place those things. That's telling.
I think that's the world we live in right now, Jethro. That's
Yep.
that's what we want to
So,
focus.
so what are your top priorities to ensure these aspirations become a reality for you?
So for the kindness aspect, we have a strong focus on social emotional learning in our classrooms, with a school-wide effort of zones of regulation. I mean, that's just the surface level of what we've been doing. And then with the like learning, right, how well our students are achieving. I mentioned we're trying to kind of revamp our multi-tiered systems of support, because it's supposed to catch all of our students who are not achieving at grade level. What supports can we give them? And those then students who are, 2-3 levels below grade level, what intensive supports can we give them? And again, being consistent. So it's not just like, oh, that kid's really struggling, let's do something for them. Oh, that kid is like, we have a system that's going to hopefully catch all of our kids and push them forward. So that's a work in progress. But that's what we're working towards.
Okay, very good. All right. Any specific initiatives or projects that you want to implement? And you can say no, there's nothing. That's fine. In fact,
Well,
let's say that.
no, well, I feel like our district would be remiss if I didn't say we are trying to focus on stamps and champs and Stoic, CHAMPS/Stoic, as that's a district-wide initiative, and we're working to build those into our classroom structures.
Okay, very good. I haven't put districts that I need to say these things. I got you.
Thank you.
Structure, teach, observe, interact, and positively correct fluently.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool that it already knows that? Okay. So now I'm going to say, give me my leadership snapshot as a whole. And let's see how it does. This is the part that I'm nervous about because I've tried this for me numerous times and it comes out okay. But we'll see what it looks like for you. Okay. So as it's going through this, leadership style, results-oriented servant leader, focused on understanding and addressing needs of students and teachers through systematic supportive approaches, committed to creating and implementing systems that address broader challenges, ensuring consistency and effectiveness in response to student behaviors, vision, grade level proficiency for all departing students, focused on ELL and special ed, inclusive environment that supports learners effectively, key priorities, kindness and learning, good, strategic initiatives, Champs and Stoic integration, SEL enhancement, MTSS revamp, community and culture, community spirit, veteran staff, warmth and positivity of its student, many of whom are children of the staff, adding a personal investment in schools' success and well-being. Be recognized for nurturing exceptionally kind students who are well supported in their emotional development. Okay, so good. This sounds like what you talked about, which it should, because all it is doing is spitting back out the things that we put into it. Okay, now here's where it gets cool. We're going to copy this and we're going to go to new.doc. And what that should do is take us to a new document in Google Docs. And maybe it's doc.new. I always forget that. Doc.new. Whoops, that's not right. There it is. All right, doc.new takes you to a brand new Google Doc. So we're just going to copy and paste all that stuff that it put in there. Oh, it didn't give us your name. Nicholas Davies. Okay, so now we've got that. Okay, and we're just going to call that Snapshot Davies. Okay, we're going to save this. We're going to come back to it here in a minute. Close that one. That now. Okay. So now once you've done this process, you go through this once, and then what you're going to do is you're going to go into here, and this is on our little Principal Turbo thing. This is step B that we're moving on to, is building our own AI bot. And this is going to be built specifically for Nicholas Davies. And so you would do this for yourself. Here's the steps. You click explore GPTs and then you do create. And so we're going to call this Nicholas Davies assistant principal at Eisenhower. And I put all this stuff in this document. So now this is where you're going to need to get some stuff together, Nicholas, while I'm doing this, before I forget. I need you to get any things that would, well, let's just go down here to this part, knowledge. So you would want to upload files that you want the bot to reference. Some things that you could consider are a PDF of your staff directory, so it spells people's names right and knows who does what, a PDF of your student handbook, your mission, vision, values, statements, things like that, specific school board policy or documents, whatever they, board policy or school policy, things that you deal with regularly. So like, let's say, for example, the CHAMPS framework or something like that, you would want to put that in there so that people could, or so that it would use that as a reference for the things that you do. And then finally, the thing you definitely want to upload is your leader snapshot that we saved in a new Google Doc. And so for those files or links to websites, that would work too. Nicholas, if you put those in the chat, then I'll be able to get those here in just a moment. All right. So we're gonna build this thing, and you can be working on that while I walk everybody else through this. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to do the description. We want to write in the voice, tone, and style of Nicholas Davies for the Eisenhower Elementary. All right, here's the other thing that you want to be looking for, Nicholas, is if you have any writing examples of things that you have, like newsletters you've written or something like that, then that would be beneficial to add in here as well. So be looking for that too. I mean, all these things I'm giving you to do. This is fun. Okay, now here are the instructions. I already wrote all these up for you. So all you have to do when you're doing this yourself is just copy and paste this whole thing. That's pretty much it. So I'll go over this here in this view, which is a little bit nicer than the other view. So basically what you're doing is you're telling it, understand your role in the educational setting. You're a world-class educational content communication assistant. You create good stuff for the person. Make sure it's original, engaging, informative, and tailored to the educational context. It should resonate with the school's ethos, values, and the educational needs of its students. Your primary goal is to generate valuable content that aligns with the school's educational voice, tone, and its unique teaching propositions. Keep it consistent with the educational philosophy of the school and its style. Adapt your writing to suit the preferences of the school staff and the expectations of the student and parent community. Then it's going to review information uploaded to its knowledge base, which we're going to do that Nicholas is furiously looking for right now. And then you want to review details about the school's ethos, target student demographic, teaching style, educational voice, curriculum, extracurricular activities, success stories, and any other relevant information to fully understand the school's context. This information will assist you in creating content that is tailored to the school's specific needs and goals. Step 3, execute tasks with educational focus. And this is where I tell it to complete any tasks that it's asked to do. And if it has questions, then it should ask. When making assumptions about the school or its educational programs, it needs to use brackets to indicate placeholders for you to update later. For tasks, make it multiple choice options so it's easy to be clear. For more straightforward tasks, provide the requested content directly. If it's open-ended, use interactive approach to gain clarity before completing the task. The next one is a tip saying whatever references school notes and details or similar, refer to the educational knowledge base for information. That's what we're going to upload here in a minute. If it's not available, then ask the user for details. And then finally, Begin each new interaction with warm, friendly greeting and inquire about the school's specific needs. Keep your communication concise and clear, but also inject a touch of warmth and approachability. And when asking questions, make sure to ask one question at a time. Now, this is an area, asking one question at a time, that I think is really important for the user, because it's easy to get overwhelmed with all these questions. If it did not ask me one question at a time, then Nicholas probably would have said, "Oh, this is too much. I'm going to give up." So I always make sure to tell it to ask one question at a time. Okay, any questions or comments, concerns, compliments about the prompt so far? Okay. All right. So this is now pasted in, and then we're going to put in some conversation starters. Now, we all know that as a principal or assistant principal, you often have to write letters of recommendation. Nobody likes doing them, but we always get asked to do them anyway. And if you're smart, you already have a template that you just use all the time. Another thing that is good is help me explore a challenge from different perspectives. So if you have an issue that someone is coming into your school with, then you can just say, help me solve this problem from different perspectives. And it is actually quite good at that, because it can make up a lot of different perspectives that really help it. You can also ask it to write this week's newsletter, and you can also ask it to give you some ideas of what we can do together. So those become these default these default questions over here. Okay, Nicholas, you got some stuff to upload for me?
Yeah. Let me put in some links.
Yes.
You said some of them could be website links.
Yep, that'll be fine.
So here's a district one that hopefully you have access to. If you don't have
Nope.
You don't. Oh, I wonder if you have to be a VPS employee.
Maybe.
I can work on that one. You
Okay.
asked for writing. This
Yep.
is an article Edutopia just published of mine.
Oh, bonus. Nice.
Here is, and I've got a
I've
few
been calling
more.
you Nicholas this whole time because you put Nicholas in your Zoom, but
Well,
you
yeah,
actually go by
whatever.
Nick. Okay. Well, that's all right.
I would
Nick
have,
Nicholas. We'll
I would have
take it.
stopped you if it bothered me.
Okay, good.
There is, hopefully I changed the settings on that. There's that staff list you asked for.
Okay. All right. So we're going to copy this. We're going to go to doc.new again. And we're going to paste this thing in here. So it's just text and not all the other stuff in here. Delete the newsletter promotion. EdTech more effectively. Okay, good. Download this as a plain text document. Perfect. We're going to do your snapshot. We're going to download that as a plain text document as well. Okay. And then let's look at this Google Drive link. Perfect. We'll download that just as a PDF as it is. And still nothing on that Stoic Hub.
Yeah, I've got
That's
something else. I just need to change the settings on it.
no problem. Okay. So we're going to come in here and we're going to upload those files that we just did. That. Okay. Let's try them one at a time. How about that? There we go. Eisenhower staff roster, achieving balance, and snapshot Davies. Okay, there we go. And here's the other doc. Perfect. Now this one, because it looks so different, we're going to download this as a PDF, because I bet a plain text would look terrible. So we'll come back over here and we'll upload one more. Effective classroom practices. Okay, so now what you can do is any of these files that you upload, it's going to say, these are the things that I need to understand and know and get. All right. So now what you do is, it's nice to have a picture. So we're going to click this little button and you can upload a photo, or you can use DALL-E, which is OpenAI's image generator tool. So we're going to go ahead and use that to generate a picture automatically. And it's going to take a couple seconds to do that. And as it does that, I'll explain this part. You can add any kind of other stuff up here. For the one that I created for myself, I put in copies of my transcripts from my podcast. I put in copies of my books and a bunch of other things that were examples of how I talk, blog posts, things like that. And so you can upload those. The next piece that you want to do is you want to make sure that the capabilities are turned on to browse the web, do image generation, and do code interpreter. If you want to be more advanced, you can get it to do other things for you by tying into the API of OpenAI and connecting other tools to it. We're not going to do that here because I think it's better to know what you're doing and before you have it go and do things for you. And then there's additional settings down here where you can use conversation data in your GPT to improve their models. I'm choosing yes to go ahead with that. Let me just make a little note here real quick. If you put student information in here, don't put actual student information in here. This should be stuff that is freely available on the public web. This Eisenhower staff roster, we looked at that briefly and I saw that it doesn't have their personal addresses or phone numbers or things like that in there, but it does have their rooms, which is stuff that we know people can find out if they're searching for it online. So just be smart about that and make good choices with it. Okay, now I'm going to change this to anyone with a link, which means that I will put the link here in the chat and share it with you, and we can all start writing in Nicholas Davies' voice. Okay, so this is where it gets really fun. Now, coming back to this blog post, there are, don't forget to save. Here are a bunch of prompts that we can do. And the big difference is that when it gets, for example, to this one, offer suggestions for promoting student leadership and civic engagement, it's going to be tailored to the, hopefully, you know, because sometimes these things don't work. It's going to be tailored to the things that Nicholas's school does and what he is all about there. These other things, designing and implementing a comprehensive school safety plan, it will take the information that he's already shared with it and make it something more unique and special. And those are, and make it focused on who he is and what he does specifically. All right. So, oh, interesting. Let's see, can we paste that in? All right. There's that. Okay. So you can go ahead and click this link and you should be able to access this same thing that I'm doing. So, Nick, we're going to ask you again to help us out here. Let's say one of your teachers comes to you for a letter of recommendation and we're going to write that for her. And you need to be the arbiter of whether or not this is doing a good job of sounding like you. So who is a teacher that you would like to write a letter of recommendation for?
Go with Connie McChesney.
Oh, I don't know how to spell that name.
McChesney.
Okay.
She's a phenomenal teacher, everyone.
Excellent. Okay, so now let's see if it pulls up the information about Connie from your staff list already. Second grade teacher, is that right?
First grade.
First grade? Oh, see, sometimes it doesn't get it right. So we'll say actually she's first grade. Come on, ChatGPT. Searching my knowledge. Okay. All right. What do you want to emphasize about her? So this is like bullet list stuff, not everything, just bullet list.
Kind, welcoming, strong, instructional teacher. Works hard, always follows through. You want more?
Oh, that'll be good. All right. So who's this going to? She's going to another school or
No,
professional
let's
award?
go with she's getting a Teacher of the Year award, so I'm recommending her for it. How's that?
Okay, that sounds even better.
She's not leaving us.
You don't want to speak things into existence
No.
that you don't want, like somebody leaving your school. But speaking in Teacher of the Year award, that works. All right. Memorable instance or success story that exemplifies Connie's exceptional qualities or contributions in her role.
She has had some particularly like challenging students, and the way that she like emotionally handles escalated students and then works with her students around it is really impressive.
For example,
then one of her students last year punched me in the crotch, and so the way that she handled like doing the room clear and like then starting her lesson in the hallway like without missing a beat, like through all of that, that's the example that comes to my mind.
awesome.
Not a positive experience for one of us.
Yeah, certainly. But good that it was positive for the rest of the students. Okay. We'll take that one. I think I had to take a minute to pause and laugh about that situation. So that's good. And maybe it just died on this and it's not going to be able to finish. Now, what's interesting is they'll do this like searching my knowledge thing every once in a while. And there's really no good reason for it to search the knowledge right now. But it is. So, is there a specific date by which you need this letter completed? Today, obviously.
Yeah, let's go with before this meeting's over.
Okay. So here it is. Now, one of the interesting things is that sometimes it messes up this your name piece. It doesn't get that in, even though we put it in there. So then it's going to write this letter. Now, I promise you, whatever it writes is not going to be perfect, but it is going to be something to get you started in the right direction, hopefully. And maybe we'll shorten the time that it takes for you to do the whole thing. So, dear whoever it's going to, I'm writing to wholeheartedly recommend Connie McChesney for the prestigious Teacher of the Year award. As the assistant principal at Eisenhower Elementary School, I've had the pleasure of observing Connie's exceptional contributions to our first grade team and the positive impact she has had on her students. Connie is the epitome of kindness and warmth, creating a welcoming, inclusive classroom environment that fosters learning and growth. Her ability to connect with each student, understand their unique needs, and tailor her approach accordingly sets her apart as an educator. As an instruction leader, Connie demonstrates profound expertise in curriculum design and delivery. Her lessons are engaging, innovative, and effectively cater to diverse learning styles, ensuring that all students can achieve success. What truly distinguishes Connie is her unwavering commitment and work ethic. She consistently goes above and beyond for her students and colleagues, always following through on her promises and commitments. Her dedication to excellence is evident in everything she does. A testament to Connie's outstanding abilities is her skillful handling of challenging situations. A notable example occurred last year when an escalated student in her classroom required immediate attention. Connie managed the situation with remarkable composure and professionalism, ensuring the safety and well-being of all students. She seamlessly transitioned her lesson to the hallway, maintained the learning process without missing a beat. This incident highlights her exceptional crisis management skills and her ability to maintain a positive learning environment under pressure. Oh, I think that turned out pretty nice. It didn't disparage you in the description of what happened. And it brought in that phrase, maintain a positive learning environment under pressure. I thought that was good. Connie McChesney is a shining example of what it means to be a dedicated, impactful educator. Her contributions to Eisenhower Elementary and lives of her students are immeasurable. It is for these reasons and many more that I strongly recommend her for the Teacher of the Year award. Thank you for considering this nomination. Should you require further information, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now there are a couple things that it did not include. As it is a district initiative, please include something about champs and stoic, and share that the incident involved me, the assistant principal, Nicholas Davies, getting hit in the crotch by one of her students. All right, we'll see how it changes this. And I won't read through the whole thing again, but so it'll take a second to create this. Now, let me just say something on here. I've been doing a lot of stuff with artificial intelligence, and I have begun to notice very clearly when something is written by AI, and we don't really need tools to note that because it usually is so obvious and apparent. And in this situation, this sounded a lot less like AI than a typical ChatGPT thing would sound. And I want to demonstrate that for you really quickly in another window. And I'm just going to copy a couple of these things. Connie McChesney. Teacher of the Year award. Okay. And I'm just going to do the same thing. Help me write a letter of recommendation for Connie McChesney, Teacher of the Year award. And this is all the stuff that we put in before. And we're going to let that one go. Now, because this one's using ChatGPT 3.5, it is going a lot faster than the other one. So I'm going to come back to that one in just a second. Let's go look at our update on here. Okay. Particularly noteworthy aspect is champs and stoic, aligning with our district's initiatives to enhance classroom management, student behavior. Illustrated last year when an escalated incident occurred involving a student and myself. Student's behavior resulted in physical altercation during which I was inadvertently struck. Connie's handling the situation was nothing short of impressive. She managed to maintain calm, swiftly implementing a room clear and seamlessly continuing her lesson in the hallway. This incident highlighted her exceptional crisis management skills, maintain an orderly and safe learning environment, and unwavering focus on our students' education and well-being. So that brought in a little bit more detail there. So looking at this one here, again, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but key phrases like in summary are things that stand out to me as something that is a very AI thing to say from my experience in working with these. So those are those are some of the things that you can do. Now, one of the other things that we can do is we can come over here to our Nicholas Davies bot and we can just do a new chat. And Nick, tell us about a challenge that you're currently facing that we can look at from different perspectives. Again, don't reveal any private
Yep.
information, but tell us something that you're seeing.
In general, we are struggling with some kindergarten behavior, either refusal to like do anything. So we've got a few really non-compliant kindergartners, and we have a few very physical kindergartners, and we're like, I don't want to say struggling, but what we are implementing as interventions are not succeeding. And so we're like, right, we're doing cycles of interventions and trying to see what works with these very young learners. That's not a specific example. I feel like off the top of my head, I would just dive into way too specific details.
Sure, that's okay. So now we got the gist. Now you can just make up a specific student that you're struggling with if you need to. So now what it's doing is it's saying, okay, let's talk about structured routines in physical space, reevaluate classroom routines, adjust the classroom layout, teaching expectations, active supervision, explicit teaching of expectation, enhanced supervision, positive feedback and opportunities to respond, increase positive reinforcement and diversify response opportunities, fluent correction and acknowledgement systems, additional perspectives, parent involvement, professional collaboration, student-centered approaches, professional development.
Yeah.
Just looking at those briefly, because what is really helpful here is if you do a bit of a conversation, what are some things that you could say, like, yes, we've done 1, 2, and 4, or what would you say there? Or we've
Sorry, I
done all
missed part of
these.
that just because our radio just went off. But so 1, 2, 3, 4, those are all built into, like, if those are part of the Stoic like framework. They don't actually use necessarily, although ST, those are part of that. And then same thing with the fluent correction. So that makes sense given what we put into there. And those are things that we are starting to do because that's our district initiative and how we should be responding.
Okay.
So that's what I noticed. Sorry, I know you asked a different question than that, but that's what struck me.
That's okay. I thought you were going to say we've already done all those things. So,
well, we've done parts of them because that's based in Stoic, right? Which is what we're trying to do.
Okay, so now what it says is individualized behavior plans, professional collaboration and training, targeted professional development, deepened SEL practices, parent involvement and support, ed tech solutions, peer modeling. Any of those look interesting that you want to dive deeper into?
Let's dive into the ed tech solutions. That is definitely not something we've done.
Okay. No, my search did not reveal things that do work. Okay, so now it's saying, okay, here are some ideas. Gamification, behavior management apps, digital storytelling and social studies. This one is actually a really good one, especially for this stuff, just from my own experience. Creating, they have a specific word for it tonight. Social stories is what they're called. That is a really powerful way, especially with young kids. That's a very good thing. Hey, VR and AR, look at that. Interactive whiteboards and tablets, feedback and recognition platforms. Those are all good. So we're going to take number 3 here. Write a social story and provide 4 illustrations about following the rules. Let's just see what that comes up with. Because we did tell it to make images also. And I think that could be a good one to try out. Now, again, AI is at a crazy place. We don't know how the sausage is made. We don't know all the details that are going on behind the scenes and how things are working. But there are some things that we can rely on, that it can help us work through problems. It can answer questions. It can go back and forth with things. And so I think that there are some valuable pieces, especially when you feed it and train it on the things that you want to have happen. That is also a powerful thing as well. So now it's created these images, 2 of the 4 so far, and it hasn't written a social story. Look at those 2 happy kids. He's even got suspenders on. I mean, that's wonderful. I love it. So one of the drawbacks is that social stories typically have more congruent images in it. And so like these are all different styles of images, as you can tell, and they look very different. So here is the social story, and you can see that this social story ties in with the pictures that are there. Page 1, circle time. In Ms. Lily's bright and cheerful classroom, all students sit in a circle, eager for story time. Ms. Lily opens a colorful book and says, "Today we learn about how fallen worlds help us all shine together." And that is what's happening here. I think that that is pretty awesome. Tommy has a question. He remembers the rule, raise your hand to speak. So he raises his hand. Ms. Lily smiles and nods. Thank you, Tommy, for following our rule. Tommy feels proud. During playtime, Emma and Jay find the same toy car. Instead of arguing, Emma says, "Let's share and take turns." They play together. And that is not a toy car. That is a little like Teletubby looking thing. So didn't quite get that, but that's okay. That's easy to change. And then lining up quietly, and the kids feel excited and ready for outdoor fun. The beautiful thing about this is a social story like this is very effective at helping kids learn what they should be doing. And you didn't have to make this up. And I've used social stories with lots of kids with disabilities in the past, behavioral challenges, mental delays, things like that. My own daughter, and it's been a beneficial thing. And just the idea of making a social story, just like it's a lot of work. But here you can see the work can be shortened quite easily. Okay, so I just went through the whole process of how you can do all of this stuff for yourself, for your own school. What I would love from you is, if you do this, please share it with me. Let me know. Reply to one of my emails and say, "Hey, I did this, and this is what happened." If you are doing this for something else, like we've got a few people here from state associations, if you're doing it for yourself for the state association, I'd love to hear how that communication goes. But right now, for our last couple of minutes, I'm going to open it up to any questions that you might have about this whole process or what you could do with it. And Nick, you've been on the hot seat the whole time, so thank you for that. Do you have any questions or thoughts about what you got going on here?
You mentioned, I'm thinking like resources. So for like, I can't even get onto ChatGPT, which I have an account for, but on my work computer, like, so I'm going to go with, that's probably a system,
Yeah.
like our IT system. But you mentioned having to have a certain, oh my gosh, not the free version, right? I'm blanking on what that would actually
Yeah.
be called.
ChatGPT Plus.
Okay, so what's the cost on something like that? I've never looked into it.
Yeah, $20 a month. So it's not that expensive. And honestly, if I could make a social story in 3 minutes instead of an hour or whatever that it used to take me, I would be all about that. Especially if I can make it individualized for a student struggling with a very specific issue. That's one of those things that I would greatly appreciate. Okay. Other questions, comments, concerns, compliments?
I have a quick question for you.
Thanks, Sean.
Jethro, well, first of all, compliment. This is fantastic. I appreciate you putting this all together. Is there a limit, do you feel like, to the amount of example documents that you could put in there, right? Or would you create two separate bots if you feel like you're getting too broad? Or, I'm making a list here of all the things that I could add, and it is getting long.
Yeah. Scott put in the chat, I think there is a 20 document limit. But here's the other thing. I've put in my books, and when I put in my books, then it becomes too much and it's overwhelming. So I put in the table of contents and the chapter headings or the chapter summaries for each one of those. That made it quite a bit easier. So that's pretty much like, you want to be aware that you're not giving it so much, and recognize that there's already a lot of stuff in there. Like ChatGPT already knows what Champs is and what Stoic is. And so you may not need to put some of those things in because it already has a good understanding of those things. Also, it knows what Danielson and Marzano is. And so you may not need to put those things in. If you have a more specific thing that your district uses, I'd put that in so that you understand, or so that it understands what it is that you've got there.
And
Does that
that,
answer
that
your question?
actually leads into my second question, was
Right.
around, Danielson framework, teacher evaluations, those types of things. Creating a bot, a question, right? I'm working on an evaluation. And then how would I go about it, asking questions so that I could be answering and inputting those things into, and creating, an evaluation of some sort. So I'm providing the observations and the things that I've seen, but it's helping me to organize that all.
Yeah. So you'd ask it something like this. I'm working on an evaluation using the Danielson framework. Ask me a question for feedback about each element of the framework so we can build it into an evaluation summary at the end. Okay. So planning and preparation. Now, look, it didn't do a good job of doing it one at a time. So whenever I get that, I say, ask me each question one at a time, because then it's easier for me to say, okay, I don't want to do all that stuff.
Right.
So let's shorten it. Okay. All right. So then it's going to ask you that question for component 1A, and then you can answer it. And you may need to rephrase this question. I was doing this on the fly, so I don't know that I did a great job with it, but that's an idea there of how you could do that.
Yeah, thanks.
And then you can also give it hints like this, like phrases, oh, I just finished an observation of Connie, one of my teachers. And then it will go through and hopefully, following your observation of Connie McChesney's class, I'd like to ask, there it is. Thanks, Scott, for being here. Any other questions or comments before we sign off? Okay. I appreciate everybody being here today. Thank you for your time. Please go give this a shot. Let me know what problems you run into. And if you need help troubleshooting anything, I'd be happy to chat with you on that. Thanks everybody for being here. This recording will be in aileader.info and on that webpage that you already got a link to at Ruxmakers. And thanks so much for being here, everybody. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Jethro.
Thank you.